Yeah.
Welcome,
Oh,
everybody. Welcome to Decoding Your Superpowers. I'm Teresa Lisum, and this is,
Linda Karchner.
and we are so glad you're here. And we love strengths. Man, we can talk strengths all day long. Love helping people tap into their strengths or their superpowers, as I like to call them. And it's all based on the Gallup Strengths Assessment. That is our starting point. Once we have that report in front of us, we're going to be able to read the report and learn about the person and get, if the person was in front of us, we would get confirmation validation as to whether we were right on point. So we're just giving kind of our interpretation of their report, but it would be up to each individual person to take that information and again, confirm or deny it. But
Mhm.
typically, I don't know about you, Linda, but I found that it's pretty right on point all the time.
Yeah, and people usually say, I can't believe how accurate this
I
is.
know. I've heard people say, "What are you doing in my head? Get out of my head." So that's always fun.
Uh-huh.
It is very, very uncanny, very
Uh-huh. It is.
uncanny. So
Yeah.
while I pull up today's strength report, Linda, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and tell a little bit of basics about this whole strengths concept.
So the strengths assessment came out of research by Dr. Donald Clifton. That's why it's called the Clifton Strengths Assessment. And he had been given the name the father of positive psychology. And he believed that by focusing on people's strengths instead of their weaknesses, that is how we can really make the world go around in a
Mhm.
very healthy and productive way. He did a lot of research in the corporate world as well as education, like higher education. So a lot of uh, jobs do the Clifton Strengths Assessment. They provide it for their employees, and they tend to focus on the top five, where we focus on the full report, especially the top 10 and the bottom five, to just give you that bigger picture of who you really are. um, and also in a lot of colleges, a lot of students have taken the Clifton Strengths report, assessment, I should say. So it is all about your top strengths. Everybody has these 34 strengths, but in a different order. And the chances of you having the exact same order of your 34 strengths is 1 in 8 billion compared to anyone else in the world. So you are definitely one of a kind and infinitely unique.
Mhm.
So, we like to talk about those top 10 superpowers and the bottom five superpowers that can kind of drain us when we're trying to live in those instead of in our top 10.
Right. I like to call the top 10 our zone of genius.
I love that.
That's where we want to operate from as much as possible.
Mhm.
And we can take the top 10 and kind of substitute those top 10 for any of the other ones. So if people look in their report, like, oh, I wish I had achiever up higher, like, yeah, no, put that behind you. You can do everything you need to do from those top 10
Uh,
strengths.
right.
So thank you for that great explanation. The thing when I first got my report, it was exciting. It was like, oh my God, that gives me some way of talking about and thinking about myself. But then it's like, I don't know what to do with it after that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I even read the book.
Yeah, yeah,
because I started with the first five, so I got the book that came with it and got
yes.
those top five and underlined and highlighted, and that was it.
Mhm.
I put the book away,
Exactly.
I filed the report. I didn't know how to apply it. That's
Exactly.
where the benefit of having a coach comes in.
Exactly. So a coach can help give you some guidance on
Hmm.
how to take this newfound awareness and apply it to different areas of your life.
Hmm.
And I do want to mention real quick, Clifton started it. Mr. Clifton started it. It was his idea. Gallup now, I guess, owns it, we could say. So sometimes it's referred to as the Gallup Strengths
Right,
Assessment. Sometimes you'll hear it as the Clifton Strengths Assessment. It
right,
was called the Clifton Strengths Finder. That's the
right.
little book that it comes in, and you need a code to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and purchase the assessment. Takes about a half hour of uninterrupted time. You just go through the series of questions without thinking. Don't put a lot of thought into it. Just allow your answers to come organically, and then you'll get the full report afterward. So if
Hmm.
anybody out there has a report that they've already gotten, in the past, feel free to take a screenshot of this. You can see it on the screen. This is the part we want to see, all 34 together like this, listed out. And we'll be happy to go over it
Right,
here
yeah,
live.
yeah. And you can
And
join us live
yeah,
if
you
you're
can
brave
certainly
enough.
join us as we go over it. So, and again, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, but it gives you an idea of the power of this knowledge and this awareness. And this report, this assessment is very, very powerful. So let's go ahead and dig in, Linda.
Okay. Yeah.
The first thing we generally do, both Linda and I are coaches. We are certified by a gentleman by the name of Eddie Villa. He is so well versed in using these strengths with people. He's talked to thousands of people probably by this point in his career, and he has just really given us great tools to help other people so we can, spread the word and have a ripple effect out into the world. Because why
Absolutely.
shouldn't we focus on what we're good at?
Yeah.
Imagine if the whole world did that, how
Yeah.
much better our world would be. So, what we do first is we look at those top 10 and we categorize them in the four domains. So, if you look at the right, you can see the four domains here. Clifton refers to them as themes. We like to call them domains, but we count up the top 10 strengths and we put them into one of these domains. And then we look at the number of the strengths in a domain, and that helps us make some determinations. So, Linda, what did you come up with? And I'll see if I agree with you or not.
Yeah. Well, sometimes on the monitor, it's a little hard to see the difference between green and blue, but I
Yes,
see four
yes.
green
Well,
ones,
let
which
me
kind of
pop it bigger.
corresponds to, oh, that's good. Corresponds to the report that the person got, that they lead with strategic thinking strengths.
Mhm.
That's the green ones. But then I also see three blue, which is relationship building, and
Mhm.
three orange gold, which is influencing.
Yes,
So this
yes.
person is pretty strong in all three of those domains.
Yeah, they're all very close. We counted up. So four strengths fall into the strategic thinking category, three fall in influencing, and three follow in the relationship building. Whenever somebody has three of something,
Right.
that domain is very important to them.
Mhm.
When they have four of something, it's even more important. And then, the more they have in that category, the
Right.
more important that particular domain is. So this person's dominant domain is strategic thinking. So
Yeah.
this person loves to think, learn, and or create. It's
Right.
not everybody likes to create with this domain,
Yeah.
but it's important for her to be able to have thinking time,
Hmm.
processing time, time to herself. She might like to read. She might like to, bring in information. Well,
Yeah.
she does because I can see her number 6 strength,
But
but gathering of information and think about it and,
right, organize it and
yes, exactly. So it's all about information for this person. And this person needs her, it's a her, needs her downtime. She needs her time. She's
Mhm.
being very productive in her head. Other people might not see a visual, movement. Like they're like, oh, like they might see her as like sitting a lot or being by herself a lot and maybe thinking she's not being productive, but she is.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
being
and
very productive.
with you see she has her purple executing strengths, which is make executing is making sure that things get done the right way. Those are pretty low for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so other people and she herself might think that she's not a doer,
Right.
because if someone is high in executing, it's obvious, that they're busy, they're
Mm-hmm.
active.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, they have their list and they check it off,
Mm-hmm.
and they get it done, and don't spend as much time processing, thinking, and that sort of thing. So she's busy and productive in her head and with, relationships, because relationship building and influencing are both about people.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
that's her, we're going to say her secondary domains.
yeah.
So she has an equal number of strengths in the relationship domain, the influencing domain. So those are still important to her. And she does get things done. I will
Hmm.
just say that.
Hmm.
She does get things done with this lineup of strengths. Um, so let's talk a little bit about do you want to talk about those domains and give her
Yeah.
proclamation here?
Yeah.
Because we,
Yeah.
we would have to, since there's an even split between relationship building and influencing, we would have to ask this person questions as to which one
Hmm.
leads a little bit stronger than the other one. I mean,
Yeah.
I can guess because I do know this person.
Right. Right.
So
So
I'm
if
gonna say
I if I
she
was just looking at the report, I I would say that maybe she leads with relationship a little bit more
yes.
than influencing, because the influencing strengths are a little bit lower in the 10.
Yes,
Would that be
exactly.
the case?
That's exactly right,
Okay.
based on the report and again, my own personal knowledge of her. But yes,
Yeah.
relationships are really, really important to her, connecting with others. Everything she does is all about that connection.
Mhm.
And so, yes, so that would be the next domain. And then that influencing would be a little bit below that.
Yeah,
So
but still pretty
oh
significant.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this person and help me out here. I think I can do it without having to write it down. So this person loves to do everything in a way that honors her desire to think, learn, and create,
Mhm.
and connect with the right people and move people forward.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. That's that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat proclamation there.
Yeah, yeah. And then not everybody has three like that.
Right.
Some people just have one really, really dominant one,
Hmm.
and some people have a little bit of a split.
Yeah.
So every person is totally different, as you said, Linda.
Hmm.
Everybody is infinitely unique,
Hmm.
and there's really nobody on the planet exactly like us in
That's
terms of
correct.
our personalities and our strengths and
Yeah.
the way they are next to each other. They
Right.
all weave together in this beautiful tapestry of superpowers. And yes, we kind of pick them apart a little bit, individually, but they all work together. And generally, for me, Linda, tell me if you do this too. When you listen to a person talking and
Mhm.
you're looking at their strengths report, like, oh, yeah, I hear positivity and oh,
Right.
that's your futuristic coming in. But you can hear a person just talking, a few sentences, and all these different strengths will start to show themselves.
we do the same thing when we're just watching a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, oh, that person has harmony high, or
Yeah.
that person has positivity,
Hmm.
or
Yeah, it's fun.
that's context right there.
Yes, yes, for sure. And it kind of allows me to have more acceptance and forgiveness and understanding of other people
Yeah.
in my sphere, not necessarily on TV, but you
Right.
can appreciate their differences
Hmm.
because of these strengths, these superpowers popping up for them.
Hmm.
And that they're here to use those superpowers in the world in the way they're supposed to. So
Right.
it's a very accepting way of thinking about people for me
Yeah,
personally.
definitely.
So why don't we take a gander at some of these individual
Okay.
strengths here? The relator sitting at number one. As soon
Yeah.
as I saw that, I thought
Right.
that was so interesting. That's
Very.
really not typical, we'll say. I don't come across too many people with a relator right smack dab at number one.
Yeah, definitely. And for someone who's also high in the influencing domain, I just wonder how that impacts that desire to move people forward, because a relator is someone who thrives with working with, being close to a small inner circle. And so, and being at number one, that is like super important to her.
Mhm.
Um, being with that inner circle, and someone who is in the inner circle has to earn a place there,
Yes, yes.
because the trust that it
Mhm.
takes to be part of that inner circle is vital. And trust takes time, and trust
Mhm.
takes proof that you're going to be trustworthy. We were vacationing with some friends last week, and the husband of the couple, he has relator, I think, at two. And he said, I have three friends,
Mhm.
and he said, that's all I need. That's all I've
Mhm.
ever needed. And, I just think that that was just kind of the epitome of relator. He's friendly to
Yes, yes.
everybody. He doesn't have woo
Mhm.
high, but, he's a friendly person,
Yes.
and will be the first one at church to give you a hug or whatever. But to open himself up, three people, and one of them is his wife.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for mentioning that. So relator, sometimes these strengths are labeled with really good descriptive words, and sometimes they're not. So relator is one of those ones that are not exactly, if you just look at the word, it's not telling you the full picture of that strength.
A lot of times people think, oh, yeah, I relate to people.
Yes, yes.
But this is, I relate to a small group of
Right,
people.
right. So,
Focused.
yes, so our high relator, like you said, Linda, they can have friends, lots of friends. Their
Yeah, yeah,
circle can be wide, but in terms of their trust factor and their comfort level and who they can really be authentically themselves, and that's just a few people. Like you said,
right.
it could be
Yep.
family, it could be friends.
Mhm.
They don't need any more, so
Yep.
um yeah, so it's I have trouble with relators in my head because I don't have relator high.
Yeah.
So it's always fascinating to me how relators do things out in the world.
Yeah. How do they function? You probably,
Exactly
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But
My
she's
relator is 13. So it's
that's pretty, it's still up there.
still up
It's
there.
still
Yeah.
up there. So we do focus on the top 10, but
Mhm.
11, 12, and 13 still influence and
Mhm.
still are give us energy.
Right.
So it's when you really go to those like those middle ones, I'm going to say maybe 14 or 15, energies just starts diminishing. I like to call that the neutral zone. There's just no energy on those middle strengths. And then the bottom ones, we don't refer to them as weaknesses. They just don't energize us in any way, shape, or form. We
Right.
don't even want to do some of that stuff.
Right.
And it could almost be de-energizing and just really, we don't want to be there. We just are not our authentic and our best selves operating from those bottom five. And you can see woo is down here for her.
Yeah.
So winning others over is what woo stands for. She doesn't have to be charming and witty and the life of the party and, go and work the room. She doesn't have to.
Right. And typically someone with high relator has low woo because they're sort of the opposite sides of the coin in a sense. A relator has that small inner circle where a person with high woo, they charm the room, they break the ice.
And that there, I have seen reports, results where they are up in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo and relators. So they're almost in opposition, but for that person, they work really, really well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's funny to see where they fall in a particular report. So let's go ahead and look at number 5, unless you have something else to share about relator.
That's it.
So number 5 is an important strength.
Yes.
And self-assurance is sitting right there. Self-assurance is just what it sounds like.
Right. That is pretty accurate.
This person is really strong in their self, in their self. And I could do better than that, but it is just like this person has an inner compass that directs them and guides them, and they're very trusting of that inner guidance. And I have known other people in the past. I didn't know what that was called. I didn't understand it at the time, but oh my gosh, anything this other person that I used to know, anything she said, even my granddaughter's like this. I just believe everything they say because they are so sure of what they're saying. They have no hesitation, no doubt whatsoever, and what's coming out of their mouth. At least that's been my personal experience.
Well, and I think that, I think that self-assurance is one of those strengths that until you realize that it is a strength, and until that person knows how to harness it, maybe it can come across in our society, in our culture, as being bossy or stuck up or
very cocky.
Yeah, very cocky.
Yep.
And I see she has command at number 10. So that could be, it's like take charge of a situation and have the confidence to do it. It could come across as being very cocky.
Yeah.
Lack of a better word.
Right. But knowing that a person that might come across as that is just very self-assured in their themselves.
Right.
And they're ready to take charge of a situation. If nobody is stepping up, they'll step up.
Yeah.
That's that command.
Right.
They'll step up, and it may be in a really dominant, assertive way.
Right.
And it may not. It could come across softer and kind of from the back door type of a way, So it depends on the person.
Right. Yeah, I would see that for her, with having pretty dominant relationship building strengths of positivity and connectedness also, that might soften her her self-assurance and her command in a way that someone who was like maybe executing and influencing might not be quite as soft in their approach with it.
Right. And like you said, another person with self-assurance sitting it there in the middle, and command could come across as like, boom, in your face. This is what I want to do. And I have a granddaughter that I think has these two strengths. We don't know. She's still too young to really be certain, but she needs to, in my opinion, it would be beneficial if she kind of softened that and was aware of her strengths and her
Right.
superpowers, but just kind of, be aware of how other people are responding. We'll just say
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
because we really shouldn't have to shut ourselves down
Right.
and stuff ourselves down. So that's why I don't want to say
Mhm.
hold back or anything, because we shouldn't have to. We
Right.
should be ourselves no matter what, but just be aware that other people might misunderstand you with those particular strengths.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
might not be people that are your right type of people if
Yeah.
they can't handle you.
Right. And this lady's right people probably can handle her in this
Exactly, exactly.
example.
Because she does come, she's a little softer.
Mhm.
And that could just be a thing where that you learn with experience. You just
Right.
learn how to come across in a better way. But like I said, the relationship building desire is going to really help her
Mhm.
communicate in a way that those right people will receive her.
Yeah.
Um, we're almost out of
I
time.
know.
It just goes so fast.
I know it does.
So
We
is there
talk a
another
little bit
strength you want to talk about, or you want to jump down to
maybe
the
the
one at the
strategic
bottom?
thinking strengths just a little bit. We didn't really touch on them too much.
Which ones?
Well, let's just just kind of say what hers are in her top 10
Her
is,
strategic.
yeah, ideation,
Mhm.
which is like kind of having lots of ideas, seeing things
Yes.
like connections that other people don't see. Input is taking in
Hmm.
information and resources and archiving them in a way that you can share that stuff with other people. And then futuristic is like what how it sounds, being
Hmm.
looking to the future and getting other people excited about the future.
Yes. And holding that vision
Yeah.
for other people and for yourselves,
Yeah.
because we use our strengths for ourselves. We
Mhm.
also use them to serve others.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
um,
they're really not complete until we use them to serve others.
right, right.
It's only half of the equation. So
Yeah.
yeah. So now let's talk about the bottom strengths a little bit.
Yeah. So we already spoke a little bit about woo. She doesn't
Mhm.
have to charm the room and, work the
Right.
room. She doesn't have to look at the past to make decisions. So the past is not important to
Right.
this person.
Which makes
Because she
sense.
has futuristic.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. So that seems to happen a lot.
Yeah.
One is a high and one is low, and it makes perfect sense.
Right.
So she's forward looking, not backwards looking.
Right.
Let's see,
Uh,
harmony.
so yeah, harmony. Oh, that's so that is when someone is energized by operating and connecting by consensus, the kind of the common ground,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that everybody's in flow together. So that's not how she is energized. She Not that she goes out of her way to disrupt things,
Right.
but probably with that self-assurance and command high, it would it makes sense that harmony is in her bottom strengths,
Yes, it does.
because to be sure of yourself, operating by your own internal compass, by being able to take charge in difficult situations, you kind of need to have harmony not
Yes, right,
bubbling its way up. So
right.
that really makes sense for her.
Yes, it does. So she doesn't have to seek that agreement. Like you
No,
said, she
no.
doesn't have to seek that consensus before taking action.
Yeah,
Based on her top 10, she's going to take that action
yeah, yeah,
because
absolutely.
she's following her gut. She's
Yeah,
confident in
yeah,
the direction she's moving.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it kind of ruffles some feathers, probably. So, and then consistency. Consistency does not mean a person can't be consistent. So
Right.
this is another one of those that are not quite labeled
Mm,
in the way that we would think what they would mean with that label. So I'm just going to say that this person doesn't have to treat everyone the same.
Right.
That's what consistency is all about: fairness,
Mhm.
treating people equally, pretty much. And they don't have to do that. It's just like unimportant to them. They don't have to treat everybody the same. They don't have to apply the same rules to everybody. Like, yeah, so this person can just kind of let that go and not worry about it. But
Mhm.
that doesn't mean she's not consistent in actions. So I
Right.
just want to make that clear.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then deliberative,
Yeah.
because we generally look at those bottom five and give people permission to let that stuff go. Like,
Right.
yeah, you don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
It's not serving you in any way.
And deliberative is someone who has to look at all of the obstacles and all of the things that could go wrong in order to make things more productive. And
Mhm.
she doesn't have to do that.
Right.
Again, with her futuristic and probably even her connectedness, it's not a priority for her to look at all the things that could go wrong, looking into the future beyond, kind of the everyday connections of life, just a big picture sort of person, and
Mhm.
not so worried about the nitty-gritty.
Right, right. Which again makes sense with that self-assurance and
Yeah, yeah,
command and connectedness and futuristic. So
yeah.
once you have an understanding of these strengths, people start to make more sense.
Right.
Like again, you can understand them, you can forgive them, you can give them grace, they don't think like we do. We like to think that everybody thinks like us,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they don't. So this
they
kind
don't.
of gives us some clarity and some insight into those people around us,
Mhm.
and allows us to understand them more. And so that this is, I mean, there's a lot of power to these and benefits to knowing strengths and having them a good understanding. But that is one, again, for me, I've already mentioned that, to really understand other people better.
Right.
It's just been
Especially
a,
your family,
yeah, for
the
sure.
people that
Yes.
you live with every single day that drive you
Mhm.
crazy.
Yes.
And
And
if
why?
yeah,
Because of strengths that
yeah,
might not be they're not
right.
high for you. So
Mhm.
you might not understand them, but they drive you crazy because they have them and you don't. And
Right.
yeah. So just to get clear, I mean, not that that solves all
No,
interactions with each other,
no.
but it
But it
gives
certainly
you,
sheds light
yeah,
on.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And then that's really powerful, I think.
Mhm. I think
So
so too.
this is always fun, Linda. Thank
Yeah,
you
it is.
so much for partnering on this and
Yeah,
digging into this
we
particular person's
do
strengths
this every
report.
day.
And we could dig so much more. And
Yeah. Oh,
again, if this person was in front of us, if they had an issue in their life, we could
absolutely.
help them see
Mhm.
what strengths they could pull out and use and apply to that
Right.
particular thing going on in their life. So,
Yeah, so
um,
if anyone is interested in some coaching with either one of us, we're available for that. And we can also help you get your Clifton Strengths
mhm.
assessment
Yeah.
taken.
Yep.
And because you do need to purchase it, but we have access to someone who can help us get a little bit of a discount.
Mhm.
Um, so that helps people out to get
Mhm.
started. And so we do have coaching available, and also some Facebook groups that we're involved in, whether they are our own or our mentors, that you can learn lots more
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Clifton Strengths and how to apply them.
Yeah. And feel free to leave comments here with this video.
Thank you.
They said if you have a report you want to take a
Yeah,
screenshot of, send it to us.
right.
We'd be happy to bring it up here during our half hour every week and chat about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
love helping people with
We
their
it
strengths.
just someone just basically got $200-300 worth of coaching in
Oh,
this
yeah,
half hour.
for sure, for sure. So it's a powerful thing to understand, and we love it, and we want to invite you in on it with us. So
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
thank you so much, Linda. Thank you
Yeah.
everybody for listening in. We so appreciate you. We hope this was insightful for you and inspires you to go check out your own superpowers, your own
Absolutely.
strengths.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, bye everybody. We'll
Bye,
be
everyone.
here next week,
Yes.
same time, same place.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.